So what I will do is I will just introduce myself. I will have 2 or 3 slides that shows you where I come from, what my background is. And then maybe I can ask each of you. We have got Johnny here, I think, from Droppoint. And I think we have somebody's surname of Yap also. And maybe we can do the introductions after. And then I will talk a little bit more about the topics. So first of all, about myself. I'm the CEO, the founder of a company called Infinity Blue Marketplaces. And what we do is fairly straightforward. We do outsourced international marketplace management. We really split it up in 3 services. We help with the strategy, we help with the setup, and then most of our time is really on managing and growing the revenue on the marketplace. And as Mark has already said, we're quite international. We work on the bigger marketplaces like Amazon, Allegro, all the way down to Wayfair, but also Mercado Libre and Tmall in China. And for us to do this effectively, we do that through local offices, because what we believe is that working through local offices is better than having everything centralized in the UK. So we have an office in Amsterdam, Chicago, London, Leeds, Sao Paulo, Shanghai, and Warsaw. And each of those we have either 4 or 5 people, or our largest office have 35. That's the Chicago office. Yeah, very pleased to talk to you. The type of customers we have are these. Stanley, we have about 100 that we work with in, day out. We have serviced around 700 over the last 10 years, but we're currently working with about 100 day in, day out. And they range, it's a very wide range of companies. We have electronics, food and drinks. That company there that you see right in the middle, on the right hand side, that one is the largest ice cream producer in Russia that we help getting into China. But we also do flowers, from the Royal Flower in Holland. We do personal products, Myrtle and Moat is an example. We do fashion, do Barry of Ireland, the boot makers. And of course we also do, what do you call it, alcoholic beverages. The Spirit of Harrogate is one, but we have a few others also. So it's a wide range. And that's the background, what I'm going to talk to you about. It's all based on the experience of working with these clients across these different offices. Now that is it about it from me. Let me take one more slide so that you can see what I have as the whole slide package is the content. And this is what I have prepared. There are about, well, we have about 40 slides, I think. And some of those we can skip, some of them are really relevant for anybody. What I thought I would do is I will give you some basic facts about marketplaces, why people shop on marketplaces, how they differ, which is really important to know. Then I thought I'd talk a little bit about the impact of 2020, the COVID crisis, Brexit, and what we think marketplaces will look like going forward. Then we have some tips on setting up and winning on marketplaces. I planned a short break for Q&A then. And then I want to talk a little bit more about B2b marketplaces, and then some tips for moving forward. Now, I'm very happy to present all of these slides, but the audience is of such a, it's small. So one of the things we can do to make it as relevant for you as you want is maybe just open it up very briefly for an introduction of the 2 people that are on the call. Maybe both of you can tell me a little bit about yourself. So Mark and myself, a little bit about yourself. Maybe who you are, whether you have a company already, and what you're aiming to, what your objectives are for this year, and also what you had hoped to get out of the webinar today. If we do that, we do a round like this, then I can pinpoint how I think we can best help you forward. And I think that's the key thing for today. So can I maybe invite Johnny or BT, I don't know what your first name is, BT, but maybe Johnny can start. I think, Johnny, you're at Droppoint, what? Right? Could you tell me a little bit more about yourself, what you hope to get out of today?
Hello, yeah. So I'm at Droppoint, and it's actually my first week. I just started at Droppoint. And Droppoint is a community interest company that helps people to donate specific items to specific charities. So primarily through the website, people will go on and they will look at what they have to donate, put them out and flutter them out and get rid of, and Droppoint will put them up with a charity in the UK, then the courier charges that they can send those items to the charities that need them. And one of my first projects is to think about some kind of internationalization effort, but for the moment just researching really what that could look like, in that it might involve helping people to donate to charities that aren't in the UK, or it might involve helping charities that currently export into the UK to do so in a better way, or it might involve opening up a new equivalent service in a whole new territory, which would mean people within that territory could use the drop point service to send things to charities that require donations. So really, I'm just here to kind of get a kind of overview of things maybe to consider when looking into international markets, because it's still at the early stages of research, really, but it's just interested to know what kind of things you should be looking at. Really.
Okay, and the service, you fell away a little bit in the first part. The service that Droppoint provides is basically are charities your customer, is that right?
Yeah, so the charities are customers, so our users are both charities and then ordinary members of the public that want to donate to charities.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Johnny. And Robert Lee, you have just joined. I don't know whether you were on 5 minutes ago, but Robert, what the situation is that I've got a whole set of slides ready to talk about, which I'm going to do, or pick most of them. But because we don't have all that many people on the line today, through a fluke of luck or bad luck, we have currently 2 or 3 people only. You're one of them, Robert. And what we decided to do was, before I do my slides, we briefly learn about you, what you want to get out of the webinar today, so that now we have a bit more flexibility. We can maybe have more of a discussion a while around the slides that I will be presenting. So Robert, I don't know whether you're willing to do this, but for you to get the most out of this, if I could invite you to maybe unmute and tell us a little bit more about you yourself, your company, if you have one, and what you want to get out of the webinar today, please.
Yeah, Robert's just messaged me and said that he's just starting up and doesn't have a company. Yeah, I mean, if you're happy to unmute and just share a little bit, Robert, that's great. But that's fine if not. Yeah, it's just no current business, but looking to start up.
Okay, and Robert, what kind of product are you thinking about, please? Okay. What I will do is, can you see my screen again, the contents?
Yep.
Okay. What I will do is, I will just run through those slides fairly quickly, and I would invite anybody, also you, Mark, if you have a specific question, please interrupt, because I much prefer to have a discussion rather than a monologue from my side.
Right.
So I'm going to start with some basic points about marketplaces. Well, what is an online marketplace? You know this most likely because you're all users of Amazon and other marketplaces, but basically an online marketplace is a service provider that provides information, makes an ecosystem for its sellers, and then sellers sell individually on that marketplace. So if you do that, you have to figure out what the fixed fees are, what the percentage fees are that they'll charge, and what additional service they might offer. And marketplaces differ immensely. So Robert, whatever you're thinking about, there are marketplaces out there that might not be obvious. And for Johnny, for you, if you're considering marketplaces, then again here, there are a lot of marketplaces. They all differ. So let me outline a few differences. The product coverage obviously is different. The audience is different. It could be high worth females, or it could be price buyers. That all differs. A lot of marketplaces differ in the ease of promoting your brand. If you go on Amazon, your product is listed next to that of other companies. There's not really a lot of branding that you can do there. Other marketplaces, though, are much more set up for that. Promotional activities, sometimes, you probably know Prime of Amazon. If you go to Tmall, you have Double 11, you have Singles Day, you have every month has another festival day that they're building around. If you go to the Netherlands, to bol.com, they have 2 or 3 things that they organize centrally, and the ability to develop promotions for your company, for your own products are fairly limited. Another thing, and I've recently added that to this list, is right at the bottom. Some companies have started, some marketplaces have started to add the opportunity to add non-sales content. So there are parts of that marketplace that is basically a blog, or where you can make your own contribution, or they have a link to a live stream. So certainly it's not just a sales platform, but it is a branding, it's a social platform. It becomes a community in which you can also buy. And that difference is starting to blur, and the companies, the marketplaces that sell effectively have started to develop that also. More on that later. Here are the 2 biggest marketplaces, Amazon and the Alibaba group. I will talk about the part of the Alibaba group, the Tmall, which is the largest online marketplace in China. But there are a lot more. Here you can see there are about 400 marketplaces that we routinely look at. But in essence, there are probably 1,000 marketplaces at least around the world. And you can see here the wide variety. And if you want to say, listen, I want to sell this product in this continent or in Europe, just put it in Google and you will get some coming up, or you can ask me and I will guide you to the right direction. Now, just to explain how marketplaces can be different, I think this slide is important. You all know Amazon, but there is a marketplace called Mano Mano, and they do do-it-yourself products. And in that category, in 5 countries in Europe, they are already larger than Amazon. So if you want to sell do-it-yourself products, why not go to Mano Mano? As Craigjoy is an American idea, and they only sell subscription products. So it can be shaving tools, it can be personal hygiene products, it could be books, it can be discs, etc. Completely different concept, but really nice. Wish, if you go down one, is basically a window in China. All products are offered by Chinese producers, or most of them. So could be decent quality, could be poor quality, definitely low price. And what they do, they ask you to subscribe as a customer. So they want your email address, and they push out regular emails. Well, Amazon doesn't do that, right? So they do that. So their operating model is different. If you go to the left, Reverb is really targeted just online, musicians, whether they are professional or amateurs. And it really is a community. You have blog posts, you have Facebook type of equivalents where you can communicate with everybody. You can also buy and sell. It's a different marketplace. It started as a selling platform. And Johnny, for you, there will be, I haven't actually specifically looked for that, but there might be marketplaces or communities out there where you can post your services to charities around the world. There must be marketplaces or community places that cater for that. And Robert, if you already know what kind of product you're thinking about selling, if you type that in the chat box, then Mark can maybe read it out to me. Why are customers shopping on marketplaces? Well, this shows a comparison where people say they buy on marketplaces on the left-hand side, or where they buy on web shops on the right-hand side. Web shops, a brand shop where you can buy products. And what you can see on the left-hand side is that customers that buy on marketplace are looking for more choice, they're looking for the deals, they look for one-click checkout and a quicker delivery. However, if you have customers that don't necessarily care so much about choice, but want to sell your brand, or that you want to buy, that feel very loyal to your brand, or that you want to provide with a dedicated customer experience, or customer service, customer experience, then maybe a web shop is more suitable for you, because that's what people are looking for when they buy on the web shop. Again, although today is about marketplaces, marketplaces are not always the best bet for you if you want to sell internationally. Marketplaces offer a ready-made ecosystem. It's a lot easier to roll out to more countries. And marketplaces clearly have the momentum. I'll have some figures for you later. However, if you are looking for the branded customer experience, if that's very important to you, then set up your web shop. Don't go on marketplaces. Or if you want to roll out to 5 countries and you would have to use 5 different marketplaces, let's say you want to go to Denmark, Sweden, Germany, and Russia, there is no one marketplace that covers it all. So you might be better off with a web shop. Whereas if you want to go to Germany, France, Spain, Italy, and the UK, Amazon is a great way forward. So you have a little bit horses for courses, but marketplaces are really on the up. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit now. What is happening at the moment? What's happening going forward? First of all, 2020. First of all, if you top left-hand corner, the 14% meant that 40% of all retail was actually coming through e-commerce. That figure is very different now, as you will realize. If you then move to the right-hand side, e-commerce initially was web shops 5 years ago, but marketplaces have really been eating e-commerce, as you can see there. It has grown 11 times faster, but it's grown 11 times since 2009, whereas e-commerce has grown by only 5 times. So that is a really different market platform now. And what you can see on the right statistic is that in the United States, this is in 2019, remember, in the United States, more shoppers went to look on Amazon first than they started a search on Google. Now that's already a mind-boggling percentage, but remember this, it's roughly 53% in 2019. I have the figure for you for 2020 and it is really different now. What is the percentage, the market share of marketplace in total of e-commerce? Well, you can see in the UK where you're based, it's about 30 to 40% now. In the United States, it's higher. In China, almost all of e-commerce B2C goes through marketplaces. This talks a little bit about online sales in the different categories online. This is a fairly complex picture, so I will explain it to you. The size of the circle indicates how much there is in edible groceries sold worldwide. And it's online and offline together. Then what you can see on the horizontal axis, you will see how much of that is sold in e-commerce. So if you again look at edible grocery, you can guess that maybe 2 or 3% of all edible grocery bought in worldwide is coming through online, which is not a lot. Whereas more than 50% of all electronics sold online in the world is sold online. On the vertical axis, you can see the growth rate of the e-commerce in that sector. So although edible groceries was low in how much is currently taking place on e-commerce, it was growing fairly quickly. This is 2019. I have a slide for you 2020 also later. So what happened in 2020? You know that retail overall went down by 2.2%, but that in online sales have increased by 46%. So 50% on top of what it was in 2019. And that's massive. So what I think is happening is there is definitely a pivot towards more digital sales, and through Brexit also a pivot away a little bit away from Europe to United States, to China and Japan. 2020, how did shopping behavior change? Now, if you look at the Amazon figure there, I gave you a number which said that in the United States in 2019, around 53% of shoppers started the online search on Amazon. Well, globally, that is now 63%. Well, that's in the 6 Western European countries and the United States. But in the United States, that is now 83%. So it jumped from 53% to 83% just in 1 year. So marketplaces are absolutely crucial. Marketplaces are eating e-commerce. This is a now familiar slide for you. You can see this now for yourself. Edible grocery was a big winner. Health and beauty online was a big winner. Home improvements, home working out, all big winners, whereas leisure, entertainment, fashion and apparel really dropped massively. They have not had a good year. What will 2021 look like? Well, the estimates are here. This is from eMarketer. what you can show for 2020, if you look at the blue line, it jumped from 13% to 18% last year in terms of market share for online. And for 2021, they expect that to continue, but a lower increase. So that's the forecast in total volume. Then there are three trends I just wanted to mention to you briefly. If you're online, if you're looking at international expansion, if you're looking at marketplace, there are three things that I really wanted you to know, apart from that volume growth that is continuing. The first one is how important China has become. Online retailing in China is now bigger than in the rest of the world, right? That's massive. More products are bought online in China than in the United States, the UK, Europe, all other countries combined. Now, that might be slightly out because I've seen many statistics, but that is a mind-boggling perspective. So you can't really have an online strategy internationally if you don't have something you're talking about China. Another thing I wanted to mention is that previously, for selling online, you could do a lot of online marketplaces selling, online on the marketplace advertising and promotion. Increasingly, in Europe also, you start looking at social media and brand sites to develop the awareness and then channel your leads to be fulfilled and purchased online on marketplaces. But what we now see more and more, and the trend is really set in China, that I think half of the leads will come from off the platform. So social media is where half of your brand recognition first, meetings with your brand will come from first, and then you will feed it to the marketplaces. So offline lead generation and brand building will become a must also in Europe. And then finally, I wanted to introduce you to this. This is a concept which is not very well known in the UK. It's very similar to Just Eat. Now, Just Eat is you go online, you buy something and Just Eat, and then you pick it up at the local Chinese or Indian, or you have it home delivered. This is very similar, but it is for home shopping. And it's absolutely massive in the United States. It started small, but 2 years ago it started small, but it's very, very big now. It's basically your local store delivered. And previously it was difficult to get edible groceries delivered to your home because it was bulky, it was expensive. What they now do, they have just set up a company, Instacart, and there are some competitors, but Instacart is the biggest. And they're now in 10,000 cities in the United States. And listen to this, this is how big they are now. In April last year, they hired 250,000 people to do the shopping in store. And that's not just in the local Sainsbury's, but also in the local Staples, in the local Boots, Chemistry, etc. So this is just absolutely massive. And this will come to Europe, there's no doubt. This will become more and more important. So if you are in logistics and you can get this organized, the Just Eat equivalent for shopping, if you can make that happen, you're going to be a very rich person. So moving over to some tips for marketplace. But first of all, maybe, are there any questions from anybody so far?
There's nothing in the chat so far, Frank. But there's a couple of things that did come to mind when you're just presenting the last few slides. Is clearly China's is phenomenal. I mean, the size of the sort of online sales and so on. Just wondered if you had a feel for why China is so much larger than, I was thinking particularly India, given that they've got a similar size population. There are big differences, of course, but there are a lot of similarities. But why such a big disparity between China and India?
Yeah, both of them are about 1 billion people, right? So you would assume India's time will come. So the future of e-commerce is undoubtedly in China, in Asia. Yeah, I think the 2 or 3 things. The prosperity in China has risen much quicker across a much wider range of middle-income families. In India, it's still much more concentrated into some really wealthy families. And I also think that in China, the infrastructure is much better than in India. So I think most of the online buyers are actually already in China, whereas India is just, there are as many online buyers as in Germany, for instance. So the whole infrastructure, the digitalization of the economy is much left behind.
Yeah.
On top of that, and I will come to that a little bit later, but the Chinese government is really smart in regulations. And they've done some really smart things, I think, to get foreign companies all hyped up about selling in China and making it very easy for them. There are no import duties if you want to start selling in China, for instance. There are a few, but it's very low. So yeah, I think those three things probably an answer to your question.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. That's great. And just one other thing I was going to ask you. Just you mentioned about sort of doing more marketing to promote the different platforms and what have you. Sorry, but to promote your offering on different different platforms, as it were. How different is it in terms of from your experience getting a following in different countries? Because I, in my mind's eye, I'm thinking well, it's not something we do, but I guess you'd be thinking you want a dedicated account for each area, that's each geographical location that you're working in. I just wonder how different you from your experience it is to get followings in different if you're offer on a platform in different locations.
That's a great question, and thank you for that. China is a whole world on itself. So if you go to China, you do TikTok, you do WeChat, etc. If you do Europe, you do Facebook, maybe TikTok even. You wouldn't really do that in the United States at the moment. That's a little bit more tricky, but Facebook, of course, is still big there. And in China, we have a little team that only does social media through those influencers, etc. In Europe, we have the different languages. We focus on Facebook and maybe a simple brand site that is translated in a very basic way, but at least to show you have some presence there. And in social media, Facebook, Instagram also, there are some really simple ways where you can create content in the UK and then use some local offices or local translators to make that native to Germany or to France, etc. Yeah. There are some simple ways you can do that. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. What I will do is we'll come up with some tips for selling online in different things. And the first one I talk about is choose your region wisely. For people that are starting, I would suggest start in the UK and consider maybe Europe. But whereas it was really simple to go over to Europe recently with Brexit, that has become a little bit more difficult. And we have made a complexity index that we talked to about in blogs and in conferences, etc. And this is how we have summarized it. Europe, if you take the UK as a 2, Europe used to be a 3 or 4, but it has quickly become a 4 or 5 because Brexit has made life a lot more difficult. Customers don't really want to buy from the UK at the moment. The United States, depending on your product, is either a 6 or can be an 8 because the state legislation is really different by state. China, if you go for the domestic market and you set up your own domestic company, is complex, just like Latin America is. But China, and that's one of the things I alluded to earlier, Mark, the Chinese government has set up a cross-border e-commerce channel where basically foreign sellers like all of us can set up a Chinese website or can set up on Tmall in the cross-border channel that they have specifically made for that. So you have Tmall Global, JD Global, and you have Tmall Local and Tmall and JD Local. Go to the global equivalents, and they are competing with German companies that are selling to Chinese, Australian companies, etc. And a lot less regulations for product approval. There are hardly any product approval hurdles. You do have to pay a little bit of tax, but just import tax. You don't have to pay tax on profits, etc. So if you go that way, I can tell you for most of the products we are dealing with, it's actually easier to set up and launch it in China than it is to launch in the United States. And that is honestly the case. So there are some problems with China beyond that, for instance, the language, the culture, etc. But you need to work with a local person, a local 3PL anyway, so it doesn't really make so much difference anymore. I will skip this slide. I talked about this already. You can select your marketplace. Mano Mano is a great marketplace for, I would use Mano Mano above Amazon if you sell do-it-yourself products. If you sell household products, you definitely want to consider a company like Wayfair if you want to do that in the UK and Germany. It's easier, not as much competition, and customers, and they do a lot of advertising on television even. The companies know about Wayfair. Trade horses for courses and don't just always go to Amazon. When you set up on marketplaces, everybody will know that listings are really important. This is actually a fairly big brand. The listing is absolutely, excuse the expression, but piss poor quality. This is a really bad example of something that needs to be done very well. Bad picture, very little text. This is an example of how you should do it. Great pictures, a multitude of pictures, great text, some cutouts so you can see, look at the details. Listings are absolutely crucial. On the logistics, previously there were one or two options. Either you as a merchant would deliver it, you would drop ship it to your customers in the UK or other countries, or you would maybe work with a 3PL warehouse in another country and ship it from there. If you do on Amazon, everybody knows fulfillment by Amazon, so then it is fulfilled from a Amazon warehouse. But there are some other things to consider now in 2020, 2021. For instance, you have the click and brick solution of Just Eat, Ocado, and other companies. For instance, if you go to China or to the United States, you would go to an Instacart similar solution for many of the products that you would buy in a supermarket. In China, you can have bonded warehouses if you don't want to pay the entry duty first, and then you can use the cross-border channels. If you want to sell to China, Tmall has a dropship hub in Frankfurt and in Heathrow. So let's say you have a pallet full of customers that have bought from you on your website in China. You don't have to ship it single products to all of these individual customers or have a bonded warehouse in China. You can put it on a pallet, put a big wrapper around it, ship it to Heathrow. Tmall will pick it up. They will unpack it and then put it in their own postal system, the courier system that they manage. So there are so many different ways now. That makes it more complicated, but if you know what to do, it also makes it more economical. Then there are some things, yeah, there are some obvious points, but learn from others. So go to webinars like this and learn from the mistakes that other people have made far too many times. Here are the three that I find are most often made. You have a USP in the UK and you think it is the same USP that will carry you forward in other countries. That is not the case. You need to do the research to make sure that what initially worked for you in the UK would still help you forward in other countries. They do things very differently in other countries, so don't assume that what works for you in the UK might work in other countries. And there is this whole issue of scale, and you need specialist resources and knowledge to grow on e-commerce and grow in marketplaces. And you can't always hire a whole new team, but if you don't hire any resources, you have a problem also. So how do you grow scale? How do you manage it? How do you create a flexible scale? How do you get to know what people need in a country? And the only thing I can say for that is that if you want to sell in China or even in Germany, you need input from a local hero, as I call it. Somebody that knows the local territory, that knows what customers buy, that knows what customers like, that can translate things for you locally, not just in pitching Chinese or pitching German, but in local text. And you will need to work. You need to be able to start. You need to work how to. You need to learn how to work with an outsourced company. There are other companies than what we are, but our business model is based around that. You can buy 10 hours of customer service or 10 hours of marketplace management for somebody in China that knows how to do that. Well, how perfect is that? You can scale that up from 10 to 20 to 10 hours. That's why we are. And local heroes, we work with companies in those different countries. There are other companies that offer that, but we do that, and it is, in far as we are concerned, absolutely crucial. Before I move over to B2B, I have an option here to have any more questions on B2C specifically. Anybody want to make use of that? Otherwise, I'll just plow on quickly with B2B. That's just 5 minutes. And then Nobody? Okay.
There's nothing in the no further questions in the chat at the moment, Frank.
Okay.
You may have covered this, sorry, because I was sort of just sort of keeping an eye on things. But I just wanted to ask you in terms of delivery costs. There was a point in time a few years ago where the delivery costs for some for stuff could be quite high, and there's now a real mixture now where lots and lots of sellers provide delivery at no cost at all. This may be a dead obvious question, by the way, but is it just the cost is embedded within the price of what you pay, or are there? It does seem to be a big sort of big change over particularly the last 2 or 3 years, anecdotally from what I've seen anyway.
Yeah. No, I've seen it as a shopper. I've seen it also, and I'm sure that Johnny and Robert have seen it also. So I think there are two things happening here. More and more customers like to have it included in the price. Not always though, but Amazon sets the benchmark, sets the example, and if you're a prime customer, that is often included in the price, right? You can get it for free. In China, for instance, there is nobody that tells you how much a courier costs. That's always included in the price, or almost always. In the States, it's a little bit more split up still. So part of the question is that it is included in the price. Secondly, is that you have more and more delivery options, and if you're able to pick it up at your local Sainsbury's or your local Next store, then there is no delivery cost. They will just make sure that it is there. So the more and more options are becoming available.
Yeah. Thank you.
And some of it is through the purchase power of those big companies like eBay. They have a massive deal with Royal Mail. I send something myself as a seller, individual seller on eBay. And I would normally have to pay £35 to have this big, very heavy heater sent out to somebody in Cornwall. It would have cost me £35. If you do it through eBay, their discount is so great, I only had to pay £18.50. So there are some things that are happening also on the cost price.
Yeah. Great.
A little bit about have a more wider discussion. B2B has come into its own right recently, and there is no doubt that B2B e-commerce is bigger than B2C e-commerce. The funny thing is that B2B marketplaces are not so big as B2C marketplaces. So where is B2B different from B2C? You probably notice that the buyer can be any business. Now the seller can be a manufacturer, can be the importer, etc. Now the funny thing is that the products can be consumables, like you and I are buying, that we can buy staples or we can buy coffee for in the office. So it's a consumable like in B2C, but it can also be half products for manufacturing. It can even be services. Going B2B e-commerce is often more efficient. It improves the user experience, and it's easier for quality control that way. But there is a distinction between marketplaces and e-shops. Here is something I wanted to show you in terms of B2b figures. And what you can see here is how B2B marketplaces, and this is on the right-hand side, are really dominant and dominated in China and in the Far East. You can see that here. Maybe the color is a bit vague, but the darker colors is Asia. 79% of everything sold on B2B marketplaces is actually in Asia. 13% is in the United States, and only 4% is in Europe. So in Europe, B2B marketplaces are not very big yet. It will continue to grow, but there is a lot of catching up to do there. And Mark, I hear you think the same question as before. Why is Europe maybe not so advanced yet in this? And I think that's partly because there are a lot of established and efficient relationships in place already. And in China and in the other countries that had to grow quickly, internationalize quickly, they had to do this all by themselves and start again. And often then e-commerce is an easy way to start it if it isn't in place yet. I have no doubt though that a lot of the B2B transactions will start happening on marketplaces and online in Europe also fairly quickly. Where do marketplaces differ from e-commerce in general? In B2B, well, B2B you can put in bulk orders. There is a whole efficient way of quotations and request for proposals. Pricing is differentiated by customer. There are different payment times, so you can buy on account, etc. Once you have an account set up with those. And in some cases, the marketplace offers the opportunity to integrate your order management system with them directly. So you can order, and if you want to replenish, the orders come through automatically. So it is much more integrated than on the B2C side. Here are some examples, and I want to start with Alibaba because they're by far the biggest. This is what a B2B marketplace looks like. You can see, you can choose by market, which is on the left-hand side. They call it market, but in essence it's product. You can type in what you're looking for. And then if you drill down further, there is a lot of enrichment here. You can search by brand. You can also put in your request. So if you say, listen, I'm looking for widgets. I don't know what the widgets might be, but I'm looking for whatever widgets they are. You can say, this is the specification of what I'm looking for. And then within not too long time, you will get answers of people that have responded and that give you a proposal. So it is really becoming a worldwide marketplace, and you can source worldwide. It will be, it's not as straightforward that you can then always buy it from there. You have to put your own quality control, transport in place, etc. But it gives you a good idea what's out there. Some other things you can, that marketplace are offering is additional services. They provide insurance, payment solutions, inspection control, etc. They organize shipping for you if you want to. So it is really a community with a lot of services in there tailored for the B2B buyers. What you can also do on Alibaba in this case is you can choose suppliers from my region. So I think, listen, I don't want anything from India, but I wouldn't mind, I wouldn't be opposed to Turkey and Germany. You can just search from those countries. You can just source from those countries. But it makes it a lot easier, worthwhile trying. Here are 4 the marketplaces, just to give you an example. Amazon Business. Amazon is quite big in B2B, but really what it seems to be like for me is it is businesses that are buying B2C type of products, or coffee for the canteen, or paper, or etc. They put their VAT number in and then they are a business buyer, or they buy 2 or 3 things of the same and they get a volume discount. India Smart is India Mart on the right hand side is I don't think all Indian suppliers are on there, but the majority of them are. Thomasnet is actually a company that has been in existence for more than 100 years. It started off as the yellow pages of the United States, and they have now digitalized everything, not just the information, but you can transact through the yellow pages, so to speak, online. One of the smoothest B2B marketplaces is Your, and they are in the fashion industry. It's exceptionally smooth, and fashion is also one of the industries where B2B transactions online and on marketplace are furthest advanced. And here you have fashion shows that you can attend, you can buy, you can link your online ordering systems, and you can automate your ordering, etc. It's pretty smooth, it's very, very quick, it's very nice. You will get a copy of the slide, so I will leave it for you. We'll do some more webinars later. We have a market approach plan, so if you're interested in coming up with an approach to a specific market, develop a business case, we can do that for you. Or you have my telephone number there, and you can always give me a call. Mark, I have a few more slides that you wanted to cover. Maybe we just do that quickly, and then we open it up for questions. Okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Frank. Yeah, it's just no, thank you. Yeah, that's great. What I will do, just while I'm just saying a few words about this, I'm just going to launch a poll just around just to get your feedback around what you've had from Frank and the webinar today. We're always keen to get sort of feedback so we can check what we're doing and make improvements as necessary. So please do complete that. Yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on the support around that's provided through Grow My SME. the webinar today is brought to you as part of the program, which sits under the Humber Business Growth Hub. A variety of different sort of supports, business supports offers available. You can see there some around grants and investment advice, one-to-one growth advisory sessions, mentoring. The area that we're involved in is the digital side, so Digital Catalyst, where we have a team of experts in digital technology that can provide advice and support on a one-to-one basis at no cost to yourselves, ranging from anything from sort of more better known technologies such as topic we're covering today, e-commerce, but digital marketing, CRMs, help with cybersecurity, and a range of other areas. And also harnessing some of the new technologies, things like Internet of Things, use of data, virtual reality, and so on. So it's a great service. It looks at overall at your current, what you're doing digitally, looks for opportunities for development in the context of your business aspirations and current performance. And our experts then can help source and identify what might be right for you at the right sort of price and so on. So the main thing is it needs to have an impact, so have a positive impact on your business. Now in the sort of COVID period we're in, things like sort of moving to the cloud has been important, but also longer term. So we're hopefully touch wood reaching the point where we're starting to think forward and coming out of this pandemic period and recovering and hopefully thriving into the future. So it isn't just about today, it's about finding suitable digital technologies that can really make a difference to you in the long term, whether that's about becoming more efficient, developing new products and services, presenting your business in different ways, keeping safe or whatever. There's we know, and many people say it was almost a bit hackneyed, but digital technology is so prevalent, I think, in not just in our sort of in our personal lives, but very much in business, of course. Just stating the obvious. So, as I say, we've got a team that can really help and can do so, at free of charge. So please do reach out to us if that assistance would be of useful. And that's about as much I was going to say on that, Frank.
Okay, thank you for that. Great. Yeah, I can't. I seem to have lost the control over the.
Oh, okay. Maybe I have it now. Let me see if I can move it forward. Okay.
Okay, I think what I would suggest, Mark, is that I've given a very quick overview. You have been able to ask some questions. So there are two things we can do now. We can have some further questions if Johnny and Robert want to participate. I understand that Robert is thinking about setting up his business, and Johnny is a charity, with a company that helps charities to promote themselves and sell more. So I can also reach out to Johnny and Robert individually, so they don't have to listen to the rambling this discussion of a company that's not theirs. So I can also reach out to Johnny individually. I've got his telephone number here, and if Robert wanted to do the same, I'm also happy to phone Robert, although I don't have his telephone number. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, no, that sounds fine. I think we should just open it up if there's any questions or discussion or sort of comments and so on. I did have just one question has come in from Yap about the market approach plan. Just as it was mentioned in the slides on next steps, will it be part of subsequent webinars? I mean, there's no immediate plan to, but potentially, if there's demand, and Frank, you're happy to sort of come back and do another session, then we can certainly look at that. But is there anything particularly you wanted to ask about that, Yap, at all? That so it's coming up as BT Yap. I'm assuming that is your name. But is there anything else you wanted to ask Frank on that at all? Please feel free to unmute if you can.
Okay, what I will do, Johnny, is I will give you a call a little bit later today, tomorrow, if that's okay with you. Just to touch base, and if you say, listen, that's perfect, I don't need more, that's fine. I'll do the same as you, Robert. If you could let us know your telephone number. And actually, I do have your telephone number, it's a London number, 020. And Jaap, I don't have your, I don't know, I mean, I only have your surname as Jaap. So if there's anything you want to discuss, you have my telephone number now. And Jaap, if you then reach out to me or to Mark for anything further, we take it from there, okay?
Yeah, very happy to put you in touch with Frank. So yeah, you know, that's absolutely fine with us, Frank. We're very happy to do that.
So we'll leave it at that then, Mark. Short and sweet, and anybody has possibility for follow-up and more tailored discussions and support.
That's fabulous. That's brilliant. Well, look, Frank, thank you very much for your time today, and you know, really appreciate the all the information and the tips and insights. Certainly, I've learned a huge amount and found it really interesting. It was really nicely presented as well. So, thanks very much for your time, and yeah, look forward to doing something again in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye bye.